So, I'm currently working on an album, but I need a little break from that, so I'm going to do something just for fun. A while back, I made a video where I used DistroChooser to figure out if it could guess what Linux distribution I used. It could not, but this time I'm going to use DistroChooser to decide what distribution I should put on this old laptop that I haven't really used for years. This was my main laptop for a very long time, but I've replaced it and I don't really have much of a use for it. So I thought instead of just having it sit around doing nothing, might as well try a new Linux distribution because I've been using Debian for so long. It would just be nice to do something a little different, just for fun. So I'm going to take this test and we're going to find out what I'm installing on this computer, and then I'll share some thoughts. So yes. I'm not sure whether I should say I want this for daily use because, yeah, I use Linux daily for my main laptop. I'm not really worried about web browsing, game publishing, execute all programs in an isolated area. I'm not visually impaired. Don't really care whether it has a live mode or not because I've already committed to installing. So I'll just say daily use. That seems like a good general option there. Proficiency. I am pretty good with computers. Yeah, most or all problems I can solve myself. I have a very good understanding of Linux. I've been using it for 14 years. Okay, how many settings do I want to tweak? Generally, I prefer not to, but I like having the option, if that makes sense. I like to have a distribution that comes out of the box more or less the way that I want it, and Debian does that. Even though I can change anything, I know how to edit text files and all that. It's just a lot of effort that I don't normally want to go through when there's already a distribution that just does everything the way I want it right away. But hey, I'm going to say I'm going to go for the middle option. I want to choose some settings by myself. I don't want to necessarily use the defaults, but if they're better than going through a whole bunch of editing. I know that this computer is a 64-bit one. Performance isn't great though. Should I say that? Because I know this is a 64-bit computer. It wasn't made 20 years ago, but I'm not sure whether I should just say, oh, it's got performance issues. We'll go on the safe side. We'll go on the safe side. It probably would be better to run XFCE or something on this. Yeah, I can use a guide or a wiki. That's usually pretty quick and easy. Okay, this is a fun one. User interface desktops. It's important to know if you have any preferences for a desktop concept. I guess I've been using the latest Debian GNOME desktop. I don't really prefer Windows or Mac-like, so I'm just going to skip that. I kind of prefer the way GNOME's been doing it for a while. Many distributions are free. Yeah, I'm not paying money for this project. In theory, it would be okay. I would be fine paying for a Linux distribution, but not for this. Different distributions pre-install different amounts of software. I would rather choose myself. I don't like when a distribution installs 20 million things that I'm never going to use. It's one of the things I like about Debian. You go through the installer, and it will literally just give you choice. What should I install on this computer right now? It's great. License. I'm generally fine with non-free licensing. I think that doesn't tend to be a big issue for me because most of the stuff that I like is open source anyways. I'm fine with non-free stuff. Distributions, use online services. I really don't care. This quiz does kind of give you a little bit of insight into the mind of a Linux user, where they don't want anyone snooping on their computer, even if it's the Linux distribution makers, just getting information about what programs you have installed. Like, that stuff is tame compared to Windows, and yet people on the Linux side get so mad about it. Yeah, I'm going to use terminal commands. I like that there's an option for avoiding systemd. I don't care about systemd. A lot of people care about systemd. I do not. Faster updates. I use Debian, so there's only one choice. Okay. Debian, yeah. See, this time DistroChooser picks the one that I use. Last time when I wasn't going to install it on anything, it said Arch. And I was getting excited that this DistroChooser was going to tell me to install Arch on this thing. We're not going to put Debian on this thing because I use Debian for everything. That would not make sense. But Devon doesn't use systemd. Doesn't support old computers, so maybe not. Okay, we'll go to Rocky. Open source distribution, Red Hat. Okay, so it's different than what I'm used to. Scope of pre-installed programs is decided by the user. That's good. Tutorials for troubleshooting and problem solving. Don't really care. Administration, shell commands, mostly stable. Let me see. It says it doesn't support old computers, but we'll try that. You know, we're going to go with Rocky Linux because obviously I can't use Debian. That's what I'm running for everything. Don't really get excited by Devon or whatever because that's basically Debian. And I don't care about systemd, so I'm not going to see any real difference. So yeah, I'm gonna download Rocky Linux. Okay, so I've pulled up the Rocky Linux website. I've never seen this before. I've never used Rocky Linux. Looks like we've got a nice GNOME looking desktop. Rock solid no matter the use case. Looks appealing to me. Rebuilds sources directly from Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So what I'm getting the vibe is this basically looks like probably a CentOS kind of rebirth, because I know CentOS had some issues. I don't remember. That was a while ago. I don't remember what happened. But yeah, let's go ahead and click download. We want Rocky Linux 9. Yep, x86-64. I'm probably going to go with the... Oh, maybe I want the live? I was going to say I probably want the default. I've got my choice of desktop environment as well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the minimal ISO, I think. I'm going to guess that works the same way that Debian does, where you boot it up and it lets... Oh, failed. Okay, never mind. Let's try my second choice, which would be... Let's go with the Mate desktop. Okay, so never mind. We're going to go with the Mate desktop. I was thinking minimal would give me choices about what to install instead of just installing everything. But instead, I think we're just going to go with what I know. All right, we're booting the live USB. It gave me an option to test the media, which I think was a really, really good idea because the download kept failing. Like over and over again kept failing. I had to restart it a bajillion times. So I would like to just double check to make sure that this ISO is correct. It's working on it. Hey, it's me again. I tried to get a screen recorder running on this, but it wouldn't let me. I tried to install OBS and it just didn't work. It wasn't... I think it said there was a dependency broken in the packaging system, so I tried to install the Flatpak and then it said it didn't have enough room. It's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and install this and I'll check back when I have a screen recorder. Alright, I finally got Rocky Linux installed and I got OBS also installed through FlatHub. Might be worth checking that out because I've never used FlatHub. Oh, closed the wrong tab. I've never really used Flatpaks. I've used Snaps a little bit because I used Ubuntu for a while. But that's not really my thing. I want to do some more snooping around and see what we can find. It's probably not installed. Nope. Oh, I probably should sudo that. I'm assuming it's all okay. Oh yeah, I tried also to install OBS from the terminal like this, and nope, DNF just could not do it, which is kind of ironic considering DNF, I believe in my heart, stands for did not finish, which is really an unfortunate name for a package manager. Okay, there we go. Got Rocky Linux 9.4 on an HP ProBook. 5.14 kernel. Let me see real quick what I'm running on. So it's an older kernel than current Debian stable. 7 Flatpaks. I wonder what those are. Is there a way? I want to know if there's like a list of Flatpaks installed. Yep. Let's try. See what we got. Got OBS, got Mesa, some Intel stuff. The Weta theme is a little weird. Wondering how many of these are dependencies of OBS and how many of these are just part of the system. A little weird. I don't honestly know. I've always thought it was weird when parts of the base system of Ubuntu moved over to Snap, because you would think that you would want that to be part of the base system and not part of this weird outside package manager that's designed to be sandboxed away from the base system. I don't know. It's weird. I don't pretend to understand it. Bloom into theme. Mate looks and feels as good as it always does. Yeah, everything is pretty much as I left it as far as the hardware goes. Let's see if we can find some more about 1.26.2. Let's go to the Debian archives. Okay, stable, we've got 1.26. So it looks like marginally more up to date on Rocky Linux. Let's see what else we've got. I do find it really interesting that the kernel version is so different. Localhost.local domain. I also did find it interesting that the installer never asked me for a host name for the computer. Also found it just difficult to use Anaconda as usual. Anaconda has, in my mind, always been not very good because it's got the done/continue button in the upper left instead of the lower right like everything else, and it's a non-linear kind of installer experience. Obviously, I think the Debian installer is better in every way. Let's check out the wiki real quick. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in this video just discovering this new Linux distribution because there's probably not a whole lot to it. It looks like it's just Mate the way I remember it, and it's just running yum or RPM instead of apt and dpkg. Let's see. Community Enterprise Operating System. Fully compatible with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Not surprising. Looks like it's really well documented. For the most part, I expect it to just run like everything else. We've got a good selection of default programs, but that's probably mostly Mate stuff. LibreOffice as usual. Not a lot in the sound and video area. I would really expect something like Rhythmbox or whatever the Mate equivalent is these days. Lots of system stuff. Good to see Gparted. SE Linux is also something I just don't have a whole lot of experience with. Yeah, disk management. I just want to see. Okay, fine. I can't see anything because I'm not an administrator. I'm curious what the partition scheme is. Looks like all in one, more or less. Yeah, we got boot EFI, boot, and then just one big LVM thing. 1 terabyte. I didn't tell it to do anything specific. I just told it to use the whole hard drive more or less, which was pretty confusing in Anaconda. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about LVM. I'm assuming that's the file system. I'm used to ext4. LVM is just not, again, not something that I'm used to, but it's not going to affect my day-to-day experience. Of course, we gotta go traditional okay. Any other? Take a look at traditional green. Not green enough. It's like a weird gray green. I wonder what Yaru okay is. What is the difference? A little bit bigger. We'll stick with traditional. Although I am happy to see all of these extra themes in here, including Menta. We'll take a look at Menta. That's pretty good. The default wallpaper, I'm pretty happy with it. That's a pretty good default wallpaper. I don't like the weird blurriness in the middle. I think that's a little bit weird. We've got pretty much the same. Oh, there's a few different ones, but mostly it's the same combination. That's new. Probably one of those XML switches during the day. That's all right. Very corporate, enterprise, boring. I mean, that's at least something. That looks like probably what I'm going to leave it at for now. Though I do love that this is still around. This little slideshow. These colors are ugly, but guess what? Come on. Now it's even worse. Let's go ahead and leave it like this. I have no idea if I'm going to play around with Rocky Linux anymore, or if this is going to be the last I take a look at it. But overall, I'd say impressions are good. I'm pretty sure I could use this just fine as a daily driver. I will say the installation process was a little bumpier than I expected it to be, what with all the failed downloads and getting it to boot after installing it was a little bit harder than it needed to be. I needed to go into my settings and find it. But overall, not bad. So what did we learn from this video? I think I'm just going to keep using Debian.